Well, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another week here at the RGM podcast with me, Carl Maloney, that guy from RGM, and we're here again for another chat, ladies and gentlemen. And we like to on this podcast delve into grassroots music industry. And there's always a story to be told. Everybody's life is different. Everybody's got a new story. So let's crack on with a new guest today, Kai Undrell. Hi, mate. How you doing?
Hello there, Carl Maloney. I'm good. How are you?
Yeah, fine, thanks, mate. Fine, thanks. I keep seeing your name about. I'm from Sheffield originally myself. I don't live there now, but I still keep a close eye on the old place.
Yeah, yeah,
Keep
yeah.
your name all over the place, mate. Tell us all about yourself.
Well, the reason for that is probably like I kind of do alongside the music. There's a lot of like videography as well, and living in Sheffield, everyone around here is a musician, so I tend to kind of film a lot of them. So that's probably why you see it around because it's kind of like I do a lot of their kind of video work. But yeah, I mean, beyond kind of video and music and what have you. It's not. I mean, video's always been my thing. Music's quite a recent thing. Last couple of years, 3 years or so. But I've been doing film since I was like 4, running around with a camera. So
Okay, well, you must be talented if everybody wants to work with you.
do you know what? I don't know if it's that. Maybe I just kind of blag myself loads. I'm just kind of getting myself out there and just like, I'll film. I do so much kind of like, I always say kind of my USP, if you like, is just being flexible with pricing. Sometimes if I love the music enough of who I'm filming, I'll just do it free if I've got the time because I feel like I'm in a advantageous position to kind of be able to do that at the moment. And it's just nice to be able to churn out a load of decent content for people and attach my name to music that I have respect for, you know, and there's a lot of that kind of music in Sheffield. So,
Oh yeah, well, you mentioned there you still feel like you're blagging it a little bit. I'm 45 and still feel like I'm blagging it every fucking day.
does it never go away?
I honestly don't think it does. I don't think. I think once you've got that kind of thing in you, you're
Yeah,
all like this. Like, I'm like it with RGM. If we have a slow month or something, I'm like, well, that's it. It's dead. That's it. It's
it's all
gone.
gone now. Business ruined.
It is. That's kind of what it's like in this industry, and there's no
Yeah.
certainty on anything. So it's kind of exciting in a horrible way. Uh,
Yeah, it kind of keeps you on your toes. It's like, okay, no one's approached me yet for anything. Maybe I should start going out to some gig nights and going, do you want any video work? I've not got to that level yet. But
well, you do have to hustle, don't you? When like in self-employed work, and you're running your own business and you're doing your own thing. There are certain points in the month when you think, right, no, it's coming for a few days, right?
yeah, yeah. Now, where do we go from here?
This month, this is it. We're over. And no, it's hustle time, and then you change gears, and then you.
Yeah, yeah, big time. It's nice to get a bit of repeat clientele from, I work with quite a few different bands in Sheffield now, and then I feel like every few months, one of them is always wanting something, kind of video wise, whether it be behind the scenes of a gig or maybe even a music video. I've shot a couple of them this year for people, and it means there's a bit of that, hopefully, a bit of that repeat custom.
Well, let's rewind a little bit. Let's go
Sure.
back. So before video was your thing, and then more recently music, which we'll come on to as well. What was life like for you growing up? Talk us what little Kai was like before you started to realize that you were into these stupid video and music things.
I was a little terror, really. I well, so I didn't go to school growing up. I was kind of taught at home educated, homeschooled, however you want to put it. So I'm always thankful to my parents for that because we had the option. Obviously, it wasn't like you're staying at home. It was, I always had the option for that, to kind of go into more kind of formal education. But no, it didn't really stick with me because I've always been really kind of like tunnel vision with the kind of things I'm interested in. I can do really well at, and I will give my all to. And the things I'm not, I find quite difficult to put my attention to. So they were really great, mum and dad, at kind of like noticing the interest from an early age, which was film. So like you say before film, what was I like? I can't remember because they've literally since I remember I've had like this little kind of DV tape camcorder, you push the side and it pops out and I was running around with that. And so they really kind of, noticed I'd taken an interest and just completely sort of backed that, kind of gave me all the support, all the love they could with it and that sort of thing. And music, to be fair, I say it's a recent thing. I kind of only mean sort of writing and approaching it as kind of like, I hate to say business, but, kind of distributing and actually getting it out there. I picked up piano when I was about 8 or 9. And that was actually mum and dad's idea. They were like, you should do something else as well. So went to Palfreman's Music in Chesterfield, and Jim Palfreman, that was my teacher. He's a great, just a brilliant musician, but just an amazing guy, great teacher. And he was so like good for me, really funny, really engaging, but kind of knew how to get through. And so I kind of had lessons with him for a few years, and so kind of broke off from that, continued playing, started kind of dabbling with writing a little bit, but again, it wasn't serious. So it's kind of been, it's not been a completely new thing. I've always played, but it just seems that I've had these kind of specific interests growing up, filmmaking and then kind of music. And those have been the ones that kind of stuck, if you will. And beyond that, there's not a great deal else that I really take loads of interest in, Art's my thing.
I get it, and I can see it. And the whole homeschooling thing is always, I don't have kids. Not bothered, not my thing, but I'm too busy.
Yeah.
I'm a big kid. I need looking after myself, and I need to. So I find homeschooling fascinating. I interviewed Clint Boone, and he homeschools his children.
Right.
And so he touches on history, maths, and he covers what he feels is necessary for his kids to learn at that time.
Yeah.
But the passion you see, like one of his kids now is playing in the Inspiral Carpets with him.
Wow.
Musical thing, just gone with it. So it's, you can waste a lot of time learning about stuff you're not asked about, can't you?
I think that's probably the main argument, right? Is that like, do we need to know half the things we're taught in the classroom nowadays, or ever, I suppose. I suppose, in kind of a utopian world, in the ideal kind of way that system would work would be to kind of, I suppose, kind of have this kind of really flexible learning path that can adapt to the interests of the kids. Because otherwise, if you're flooding people, I speak for myself here, to be fair, if I'm flooded with information that I'm not really keen on, it's a burden, not a benefit to my, everyone needs, your basic maths and English, because you find it everywhere in life. You need it, right? But I've never needed to implement chemistry in my life. Maybe beyond relationships, but in terms of kind of mixing bottles, no. So yeah, I think that's the main argument for it, right? Is do we need to know half the things that we know? And it's great to hear that he does that, because I think you've got to strike while the iron's hot, and if you're able to kind of nurture the interests of, from a young age, that's the best way to do it. I'm glad I picked up the piano earlier rather than later. I look back and I'm thankful for that.
One thing in music, I used to be able to read music and play tenor horn.
Tenor horn.
When I was 16, a tenor horn is it's like a horn thing. I started playing in a brass band, in Woodhouse Brass Band in Sheffield. And got to 16, I kind of fell out with it because it weren't a cool instrument, and started to play guitar. I lost the skill of reading music and being able to, literally just play it, music that I can see in front of me.
Yeah.
So that's like a big regret of mine, where, chord in general, I find guitar quite easy because you get chord books and then you learn the structures and that kind of stuff. You
bit more accessible.
It is, yeah. And I fancy keyboard. Always found that a nightmare. Can't get my head around that. The guitar kind of like, it found me a little bit. That's a bit fucking horrible thing to say.
Pretentious. It's true though. Your instrument finds you.
Yeah, it's weird, isn't it?
Yeah, no, definitely. I'm the other way around. I think pianos, I look at a piano and it makes so much more sense to me than anything else, kind of melody wise as well. I'm sure it's only the same if I could look at a guitar fret and tell you what note that is. But because maybe it's the piano is my main thing, but I think it's the ultimate melody maker, the piano, because you can it's so visual. To write melodies on, and for someone that likes really kind of catchy kind of hooks and stuff, that's my first port of call is the piano, because you can really, really clearly hear it.
So growing up in the homeschool environment, is there anything that you'd change about it? Is there anything that you look back and you think, I felt like I missed out a little bit there?
It's difficult because it's all I've known, right? So what a lot of people say when I kind of bring up that I sort of wasn't that I was home educated, is that like, oh, did you have any friends? And I can't complain about that, because I did. So I think my parents were quite aware of the fact that if the kids aren't in a classroom daily with like-minded people, similar aged people and kind of building those relationships and kind of making friends, then we're gonna have to find other means. So there's loads of groups out there. I think more so now. I think back then there were a lot less people home educated than there are now, but I think they kind of found those groups and then we went along. Got to know a load of people from that, and I've still got a couple of mates that I chat to from those groups. So I don't feel I can't really pinpoint anything I feel I missed out on, because I feel that in hindsight I kind of made the most of everything. And I was just too kind of tunnel vision, like I say, into kind of doing the things I was interested in, that beyond that nothing else really bothered me. I was still a little nightmare because I was so tunnel visioned. If there's anything else outside of what I'm interested in that I'm asked to do or what have you, it's a little bit of a strain. But it's really hard to kind of answer, because it's all I've known, to be fair.
Yeah, fair enough. Are your parents creative people? Because I just remember harking back at lockdown when parents automatically had to start homeschooling the kids, and a lot of found it an absolute nightmare, I think it's fair to say. So your parents, are they kind of like, were they growing up that way as well? Are they creative people? Are they?
I've kind of always said I get my kind of music, it's sort of like I suppose my kind of passion for playing instruments from my dad, because he's a lead guitarist. He's really good. Like he's epic. He's starting to build guitars now as well. He's sort of hit his mid-50s, and I think he's sort of thinking, I want to just kind of get on with some long-term projects, and he's built a little workshop and all that kind of stuff. So he's like super creative. I'm not saying my mum isn't, but I think she can play recorder. But do you know what? I've always said though that whilst I get my love for playing music from my dad, a lot of my taste comes from my mum. She grew up obviously with a lot of Madonna, Blondie, Fleetwood Mac. There's a lot of kind of influences that I kind of pinpoint and think, that's I think probably mum that I get that from. Dad got me into Bowie, which was obviously David Bowie's a massive influence. I think that's great. So yeah, it's kind of like I derive different things from both parents. And we're all kind of creative in our own ways, but my dad is really, he's a legend, and he's super artistic.
And what was the first thing that you can remember filming or making something of?
I used to get obsessed with things, right? So I used to go through kind of phases of just being obsessed with certain characters. Like I was obsessed with Cruella de Vil when I was about 5 or 6 for some reason. So I'm trying to sort of pinpoint that. What was the question? Sorry, mate.
First thing, can you remember the first thing you ever made in film?
Yeah, I mean, so I guess off the back of having obsessions, there was Robin Hood in like the mid 2000s, like a TV series. So I'd replicate that. Shows I get obsessed with, or Doctor Who was like the one. I used to do Doctor Who shows for my family and stuff, and so I'd always be filming that sort of stuff. I do remember my first attempt at okay, we've written a script, we're going to shoot this way, this is how it's going to look, blah blah blah. It was a film I did with just my mate, and my dad helped me write it, and we hired out a nearby chapel to film in. It was like a 5-minute horror film thing. Terrible, but that was probably my first memory of really thinking, well, let's try and approach this one properly, rather than just running and gunning and filming whatever and making it up as you go along, as fun as that is. And I must have been about 10, 11 when I did that. So
Did you learn from your parents all the skills of filmmaking? And I'm fucking basic. I can use it. I mean, like the ISO levels and the apertures and all that stuff.
That I learned in college.
Oh, right. Okay. Okay.
Yeah. Because I feel like I didn't really pay attention to that. I used to read a lot of film reference books. Went on holiday once to a little house in the middle of nowhere, and there was a book called Just Cinema, and I ended up nicking that one and taking that home with me when I was very little and reading that. But in that book, and this is like a lot of the books I read, you don't really read the technical, you read the kind of I suppose the historic side of film, the eras and what have you. So I didn't really pay a lot of attention to kind of your f-stop, your ISO and what have you, aspect ratios and all that kind of stuff. So when I got to college, that obviously kind of got a lot of the practical side of things, but the technical, I had a lot to learn. But I had great teachers, man. Ebony Pascal, Ebony Pascal was my teacher, man, and she was just amazing. just full of life and learning from people. A bit like Jim that I mentioned earlier that taught me keyboard. When you've got someone like that that's full of life and passion and is funny as well and can kind of teach through humor. I've always got on with people like that and always learned the best from people like that. So when I got to college, I had Ebony teaching. I had other good teachers too. Alistair McTaggart was great. Tom Bell. But Ebony sticks out to me as being one that kind of saw something in me, I think, and just really kind of pushed me to kind of do better, you know.
Which college did you go to?
Chesterfield College, where I'm from originally, Chesterfield.
I know you're from Chesterfield, but you live in Sheffield now. Is that right?
I do now. Yeah, I live around Park Hill now. It's quite a nice view.
Nice one. So yeah, just so you built up your technical skills, and I'm doing HND media at Norton College in Sheffield.
Oh right.
That's where I learn, and all them f stops and stuff. I ain't got a clue. I don't.
Yeah.
Get it, but I kind of learned a lot of like audio. I was more focused on like radio and that kind of stuff, and that's still like edit stuff, and I can edit stuff really quickly. I know what I'm doing on and that kind of stuff, and I've learned like kind of self-learned a little bit because I didn't really pay attention at college. I was too busy.
Yeah. There's a lot in that though, teaching yourself.
Yeah, you kind of find your own way with it, don't you? And you find out what you're good at, and YouTube's just so good at, you know, if there's anything you don't know, just bang on YouTube 15 minutes and you've got everything there in front of you as well, aren't you?
Literally, it's the best teacher. Yeah, no, definitely, mate.
So what kind of style would you say you are as a filmmaker or a music video maker? What's the process for you when an artist comes up to you and said, I need to make a music video?
First of all, you know, what first came to their mind when they either wrote the track or when they first listened to the master or what have you, you know, so kind of what was their initial idea? Because if you can take that thread and expand on it, then you know, you're only going to kind of please your client. So there's that. For me, I just listen. Obviously, I think everyone will say this that kind of makes music videos is that like you just listen to the track a couple of hundred times, and then by listen 200, you can hear it and see the video playing out in your head. Style wise, I don't know, because I love lots of different sort of directors, and I can't really say that I implement loads of that in my music videos. But I think the fact I do a lot of documentary stuff comes through. Possibly, I might be right in saying it's hard because obviously I made the video. Like take for example, I just shot one for Harry Larkin, the Get the Girl Away, and that was to me, I can see my documentary self in that video in terms of kind of how fly on the wall it is, and I think it adds to the realism. Then, I mean, that video in particular, you know, again, that was the idea. This girl kind of making her way through people at a party was Harry's idea originally, and we kind of just expanded on that and made it crazy. But I think the fact we kind of shot it fly on the wall, for example, I think I shoot a lot of things like that. It kind of just puts you in it a little bit more, I think. And you can still retain the cinematic. I don't believe you can, you know, documentary and, you know, cinematic film, if you will, two separate things. You can, it's all in the flow. It's in the feel of how you shoot. It's in how obviously you edit and how you grade. And, but I just think given that I do a lot of documentary films, that's probably a lot of my style is that it feels quite, I hope, natural and fly on the wall.
Oh, you gave me a little preview of it earlier that I had a nosy of, and yeah, I love it, mate. That is the one in it that you're talking about.
Oh no, I was on about that one that I'd sent you. That's from obviously from this EP, but the one that to Get the Girl Away, the Harry Larkin song. I think maybe like a few weeks ago she put it out. That's the one. We shot that in like 6 hours, and it was a great day.
Well, what I do love, because we've had Harry on the show. I went to see her when she played the big fuck off main stage at Tramlines, and she opened an amazing weekend. Not this year, the year before.
Mm-hmm.
She's got a lot of traction behind her old Harry, hasn't she?
Yeah, definitely, and all for the right reasons, because she's lovely. I think most people are, but you know, with Harry, she's very genuine. She's like really, she's my kind of human, right? So we work together a lot, but also I consider her to be a really good friend and a girlfriend, Abby, as well. You know, they're both just really down to earth, sound people, and I think that comes through when they play live. You know, that openness and that kind of warmth, if you will, southern warmth. I mean, they're Cornwall, aren't they? So it kind of it's a very gentle sort of thing. But the music, interestingly, is kind of quite obviously it's like indie funk, isn't it? So it's a lot it's not kind of harder and kind of in your face than Harry as a person. So I love that kind of contrast. But I think the very fact that she's so easy to get on with and her networking skills are great, I think that's definitely contributed to her success so far, man.
What I'm starting to see, and it is a little bit from afar. I do get over to Sheffield quite often, but
Yeah.
as close to it as what I used to be when I lived there, because it's impossible. You see, because for quite a long time, I've seen the industry in Sheffield just kind of not have a lot going on for the last years. But what I'm seeing now is a lot of collaboration between artists, and a friend of mine, Daz Wallander. I always get his surname wrong, old Daz, and I know you've made a video for him too. That's coming out.
Yeah.
I see Harry working with Sam Shadell a lot.
Yeah.
All these artists.
Shot a video for him too.
So all these artists that are working together, I find that really interesting, and like how that's developing as a because we when I was in bands and that kind of stuff, we always had the Washington to go back to on a Friday and Saturday night, and that's where all the musicians, and that's where all the cool people went.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's still the case now or it's a different place, but is there still that kind of underground friendship there that's everybody's all supportive and
yeah, I was saying this to
like sometimes it can be not supportive, the people that take piss out of each other and just drive people on by winding people up and that kind of stuff, and there's a big friendship circle there. I don't know what I'm trying to say, but is there a nice environment around where
community
community, is there a community in Sheffield?
Mate, I was saying this to someone last night. I've been saying it a lot lately just because it's been on my mind. I think just given the amount I've kind of done this year and obviously being in on that and kind of quite active in the community this year especially, and last year, but I think things are kind of picking up. I think it's nice. I think it's definite that there's a community. Yeah, there's I think you'll always, you're always going to get snakes in the grass in any industry, especially when it's kind of a local scene. But that's really rare, I find. Maybe just because I don't really associate myself with those sorts of people, but I just tend to find that everyone's kind of striving for the same goal, right? So why would you not kind of give each other a leg up? The way I see it, right? When sometimes people will say like, yeah, I'll come along and film a gig and I do it for like cheap, because I'd really love the music or something. And like, how can you do this? It's like, well, don't think there's no incentive for me because I genuinely think you'll do something. So if I've shot something for you, I'd like to think it kind of is reciprocated. We're all kind of wanting each other to do well because it's advantageous for everyone. Yeah, so I think there's positive vibes at the moment is what I'd say, and it's really kind of thrilling to be kind of just part of it in a way. It's hard to kind of say that whilst you're in it, obviously, but I'm
doing that because I was in a big community, and then that kind of like fell away. I think people just got older and they packed up the bands and started doing jobs and that kind of stuff. When I say real jobs like that, you know what I mean, don't you?
The day job, yeah.
But people's just have lives, children, all that kind of stuff, and then times change, and then new friendships and communities develop. I just like to see the community develop now. That's all I'm trying to say.
Yeah, because I think there has been a bit of a it ebbs and flows, doesn't it? And I think it's only recently that things have felt more alive on the scene.
So you've got this amazing career as a video person.
Yeah.
With music yourself then when you've got this going on?
How do I have time?
Like, no, why are you bothering with music when you've got when you establish as this guy?
It's an outlet, right? Like I've always found that music and film kind of go hand in hand, especially now I do them both kind of alongside each other. For me, it's the cinematic. So whenever you're making art, you're trying to evoke a feeling, aren't you? Like you're trying to sort of get something out of the viewer, out of the audience. So music and film definitely go hand in hand for me, because when I'm making a film, I'm obviously thinking there and then as I'm shooting, when I'm editing, I'm thinking what's the feeling I'm evoking here. And with music, it's exactly the same, except with music it's shorter term, because I could write, record, mix, master, release a single within like 2 months, for example. That's a lot shorter than doing like a fiction feature-length movie. I get the same buzz out of making quote unquote kind of cinematic music as I do kind of making something quite, because I'd love to do a feature film one day, kind of like fiction, and the buzz I get out of that, telling stories, original stories. It's a lot harder to do that in film because you need the crew, you need the time, what have you. But with music, it's just me writing. If I'm able to evoke those same feelings, if I'm able to kind of, I suppose, scratch the same itch, so to speak, with music, then that's why, for me, it's just my outlet. It's another outlet. I don't really have in mind, I want to be a big singer one day or a big filmmaker one day. I just do what I do. Films kind of takes up a lot of time now because it's in demand from musicians, video work. But music's just something on the side that I don't know, kind of, it's kind of benchmarks of my life in a way. That's how I like to see it. I can look back on a single I released 2 years ago and it can mean something to me. And if it means something to other people as well, then great.
Cruel question. If you had to pick one of them, which one would you pick?
Film.
Yeah,
film, because I can still work with musicians on films. Get a good composer. They go hand in hand. Then if I pick music, you still shoot a music video for it. It's the hand in hand. If I had to pick, though, if one didn't exist anymore, I'd have to go with film, just purely out of respect for my past self, working so hard towards kind of making films and stuff. So I'd have to probably pick that one, Carl.
What kind of projects are you working at the minute? Is there anything you can tell us about? Any exciting things that you've got coming up that you can talk about?
Yeah, no, massively. Yeah, I mean, so alongside kind of obviously the video work, I mean, I've just shot some stuff for Sam Shadell. I can't obviously talk about that because he's not kind of announced or everything, but that was quite a good day that we had. That was last week, so that's something that I'll be
just on Sam. Just to interrupt. I've known Sam for, it must be nearly 15 years.
Oh, wow.
I can remember having him on at loads of gigs at Frog and Parrot for many years, and then he take a break from music. And now he missed it, and he came back into music, and I've never seen anybody as passionate about wanting to.
He worked hard, right? Like he's
around him now. He's back, and he's fucking not messing about. He's on it. So I just wanted to say a big up for Sam Shadell because he's a grafter, and
I can't sing his praises enough.
It's mental, isn't it?
Yeah. Mate, he's like, he said this actually. He'd probably agree because like the other week he was like, yeah, this is quite a new project that I've just picked back up again. Because to be fair, when I kind of first got to know Sam, and like a lot of these people, I can't say how we met, like I can't remember, but when I remember going back on his YouTube and thinking, oh, there's some really old stuff on here, but there's quite a gap. So it was kind of interesting to see that you can kind of do that. And because that's my intention with music, is kind of release a load of stuff and then kind of not say anything for a year and then come back with another something, because I've got other outlets. So it's cool that Sam's kind of picked things up and just smashing it, and just literally, his drive, man, is great. We had a great night at the Lead Mill. This is a bit of a mad story, but like we were at the Lead Mill like few months ago. I think it was like May. He was playing a gig supporting Reverend and the Makers, and I was filming. So we wrapped and we were kind of upstairs in the Lead Mill, and back to the whole kind of community thing, the Sheffield community and everything. We were kind of up there. And I mean, it's Reverend and the Makers. Everyone was there. It was just really crazy. We were in this really iconic venue. Me, Sam, Harry was there. Richard Hawley was there. Nick Banks from Pulp. There was some really crazy faces. And I was just thinking, well, this is mad. And I kind of look over to Sam and think, well done. This is a really good gig. This is amazing. And it's the first of many. I know it.
No, I know, and yeah, I can. I know. I can't. I'm not speaking for Sam, but I think life went away a little bit, and then he that urge just grabbed him again. And
I don't think you can ever get rid of the itch, right?
Yeah, well, exactly. Yeah, that's why I keep pissing about with music people and that. I can't let. I'm not. Oh, but I've ended up with RGM, and it just
don't ever let go of that, Carl.
Oh, I'm not, mate. I'm telling you, but I love it. Sorry, I interrupted you a little bit there. You were just talking about projects you've got coming up.
Yeah, certainly. Yeah. So, literally just announced EP. Like, this is something that is really, this is a debut, if you will, debut EP. I think singles wise, what have I put out now? Like like 4, something like the 5. I've kind of taken a couple of them down because I've been trying to sort of rebrand over the last year and just sort of put out exactly what I want ahead of this. But yeah, I feel like my volume has been pretty low in terms of sort of output, right? You know, kind of music. But again, I'm kind of at peace with that because these things, again, I've got other outlets, and when a song comes along, that's great. Chris Martin says it best, right? I was watching an interview with him the other day. You have to like, the songs are always there. You've got to find them. And I love doing it. I love thinking about it that way. And because I get that. It feels like, you know, you sit down, for me, I sit down at the keyboard, jingle along 95% of the time, 98% of the time, nothing. It's like I've written 80 songs this year. A lot of them are just ideas. A lot of them are really rough. But I started writing on Christmas Eve last year, and it came out with The Game, which is track 1 on this EP, what is now track 1. And then what followed over the next few months was a lot of writing, and in and amongst that, a handful of songs that I thought, well, like, this should just be an EP. Like, they all fit hand in hand with each other. They all follow the same themes, I think, that I've always explored, but kind of more so and more thematically in this EP. You know, kind of that, what I call kind of new age anxiety, you know, sort of like this, I guess, desperation for something more, wanting to be someone, but feeling a bit lost with it identity wise. And so I kind of found all these songs that seem to tell that story. I think, oh, that's great. You know, 5 tracks that are a handful that kind of hopefully sum up sort of my, again, it's like a benchmark of my life. So, you know, hopefully we'll sum up this year when we want to look back on it. But it's been a bit of a grind, you know, kind of getting them all ready, getting them sorted. I work with a guy called Daniel Svetlov, who is in Greece, and he mixes the songs and masters them as well, to be fair, and just does an epic job because he really gets me. So I worked with Will Stocks last year, who's a really good mix and engineer at Dino, for another single, and it was great because it's a different sound when you work with a different producer. I think I've always found anyway. Maybe I'm too malleable.
When he were in Gramercy Park, I've had him on before.
Oh, Will, yeah, Will's like amazing. Yeah, working with him is an absolute dream, especially in that studio, because it's quite unknown. I think, you know, they kind of keep it under their hats and really kind of work with the people they want to work with in there. And I sort of got to know them quite well. And again, back to the single, you know, that was the first time I kind of worked with another producer on something outside of Daniel. So when I kind of started writing the EP, I was like, I kind of want to go back to Daniel now, just to see if I can recapture that sound from like 2 years ago, because he just seems to really get it. Will does too, but you know, there's something about Daniel that I kind of just wanted his sound in a way. He will disagree and say I don't have a sound, but I call it, his name's Daniel Svetlov, I call it Svetloferizing it. Because he does kind of like really grimy kind of rap and stuff, like he puts his own music out as well, and I can hear an influence in his kind of mixing and his sound design. So it was really good to have him back on board, because he's just smashed it with kind of bringing these songs to life, if you will. And now it's all kind of together and due out in like a month or something. Like, it's pretty crazy because I never thought I'd have an EP.
Well,
a lot of work.
Busy lad. How do you find time for you? What do you do away from it just to have it, don't you?
That's a good one. I don't know, because I don't really have, I don't know, downtime's important, like they say, but my downtime, I've always kind of, I've got better at not burning the candle at both ends somehow, but I'm kind of busier than ever, which is a weird combo. Because there's a lot of times in college where I get really stressed out, you know, kind of like I've got too much on, blah, kind of crazy. But now it's kind of, I'm busier than ever, but I seem to have found a balance with things. So I don't necessarily make time for myself. I like my own company anyway. I'm not kind of a solitary person, but you know, if I've had a big day and I get home, I kind of just want to sit down and make music anyway, as an outlet, as a soother. Less so with film, actually, I think, because I do that more, and it's a job and not, it's a pleasure, but music is just pleasure, you know what I mean? So I just get home and that's my way of downtime. So, and a lot of people, I say this to people and they're like, can you just like get home, have a nice meal, stick a movie on, go to bed? It's like, no, because I'm going to be laying there. Like literally, I try and go to sleep, Carl. Like the other night I was trying to go to sleep. My phone's next to me as it usually is. And I'm like, that's a good melody. So you got to get the voice memo up, or I think that's a good little plot. Like, you know, I've got so many like film plots on my phone back to wanting to make a feature film that like it's constant for me. It's hard to have downtime, but I think cost the things I do for my downtime are to some considered work, but to me pleasure. I think I don't know, it strikes the balance well for me.
You never switch off as a creative, do you? Like I can only speak for myself here as well. Like when my idea of downtime is having the telly on it background, but I've still got my laptop working on RGM emails. So I'm never
I'm
really
exactly the same.
I get hammered off the missus all the time for it because I've never got a clue what's going on a television program. So I'm
Yeah,
never like really enjoying television. Really, it's just on, and I can just see things happen at
you
certain
got to
bits.
have the background noise though whilst you're doing your admin and stuff.
I just yeah, like even in films, my attention span's not great because
Yeah,
I'm always thinking of it's something to do with the site that I need to improve. I've had email that I need to have a think about. There's always something in there that that's there,
yeah.
which is kind of like it. I don't know. It keeps me alive at this ripe old age of mine. It's all right, You learn to deal with that, I suppose, don't you?
Yeah, yeah. I know. I know.
In it, you know what I mean. But you kind of you find your own way to deal with it, I suppose.
Yeah, definitely. Um, yeah, I totally resonate with that. It keeps you alive. I definitely, because I think,
You're dealing with a lot of bands. They'll email you at 2 a.m. with
yeah,
about. So there's always.
is there. It's like idea, mate, or listen to this, or yeah. I
And
can imagine.
I get an email because I get up early just to get stuff out of the way, and like emails, I'm sending emails to people at 6:30 in the morning. I'm just like,
Oh my god.
just
Yeah,
so I've organized before I start the rest of my day. You know what I mean? So I'm just like,
you're living a life on 3 hours sleep there, Carl.
well, I'm definitely not emailing. Well, what do I do? What do I? Oh, I definitely sleep more than that. I do all right.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
I
I try and get good sleep, but it's hard.
working. It's all
It's
right.
not bad. I get probably 6 or 7 hours a night, but if I get less, I'm fine. It's whatever. When I'm awake, and I can get going.
Well, I always remind myself I'm not working down the pit, so it's not that. Is it?
There is that. I mean, that's always a benchmark. Like, well, at least we're not working down the pit, or like, yeah, at least we're not coming home covered in soot and killing ourselves slowly. Yeah,
Filming stuff, it's not like it's graft, is it really? Or is it graft?
it's graft, but it's the most pleasurable kind.
Yeah, yeah, nice, nice.
You
Yeah,
don't feel it
yeah. Well,
as
on that,
much.
I've really enjoyed getting to know you, Kai, mate. Is there anything else you want to share with the people that are about to click on the link below in the
Oh,
description podcast that's going to divert them towards your music and your filming stuff?
certainly. Just really that, like, it's my first EP. I just want people to kind of listen to it and see if they get invested. There's a lot of good themes in there that I think people can kind of relate to, but it's all told in quite a darkly humorous way. And I just think, I hope that kind of gets through to people. It's out on Friday the 13th of October, an apt day for an EP called Full Fat Fear. So, just kind of delve in, let me know, drop me a message. What's your favorite track? But literally, that's all I've got to say about it, really. I've had a great chat with you, and I just want people to kind of go out there and have a listen or watch some of the things I've done, and hit me up if you want to collab. If you need any video work, I'm your man.
Oh, there we go. Well, I've really enjoyed getting to know you, Kai. I can
You.
that you're a valuable cog in the community of Sheffield, in the creative part of Sheffield, and being there and supporting these artists as well, because it's been needed for a long time. But Sheffield's needed you,
Mate, that's lovely to hear. Like, we're all in the same boat with it. Like, again, everyone's striving for the same goal. It's a pleasure for me, like I say. So working with people in the community is just, again, what keeps me alive. It's socializing, but it's more than that. It's building real kind of bonds and kind of hopefully putting out qualitative work, that gives a little bit of a sheen of value, if you will, production quality. So it's a pleasure, and it's been lovely getting to know you as well, mate. Because you're someone I see. Obviously, I see your name around everywhere as well. Like, with RGM, I've been excited to do this. So it's been amazing just to kind of chat to you about the community and that side of stuff, because I think it's important we do have dialogue about it.
just a bit as well, and just having the normal conversations rather than somebody just having a quick soundbite on the new,
Yeah. No, soundbite is not my middle name.
It's no, the media industry is changing so much, and short sound bites, and how local radio or prevent people saying what they want and restrictions in the media and that kind of stuff. The media industry is changing. We can talk about this another day.
Yeah, yeah, I'd love to. This is why this works. I like this because we can just chat, mate, and that's what's great, because you're right. Like, it's very commercialized, isn't it? Like all radio usually, but this kind of long form conversational thing is it's the kind of thing, again, I have on just to kind of you
Yeah.
know feed ideas and soothe. It's been great.
Well, I know you've got a busy day, mate. So I'll let you crack on. And yeah, thanks for your time, mate. Brilliant. Ta.
Thank you for yours, Carl.